From far and wide we drink tonight with folks from all around. So pour one up, enjoy
This is my first time. I'm
life
following
and
the
new
Okay, we're gonna do a
friends
virtual cheers. Ready?
join.
When everybody's got their beers poured.
I'm feeling the pressure of everyone watching me pour this on a Zoom call now.
Let's just check the head there. Oh, it's a little heavy. Oh, it's okay. That's
No,
okay.
that's perfect.
I like to leave a couple fingers there.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
Cheers.
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 Welcome to the afternoon pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I'm Matt Conrad.
And who do we have today?
My name is Dana Jones, also known as Pints of PEI on Instagram.
Pints of PEI.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks so much for having me today.
So Dana, you are the representative of PEI for the afternoon pint for us drinking across the country.
Amazing. So yeah, I don't know if that was a democratic or a meritocratic kind of thing, but yeah, out of the couple dozens of people here, I am honored that you chose me. So fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, you do some great stuff, and honestly, you're a proponent for craft breweries. Yes, obviously for PEI, but beyond that too, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's I think it'd be a pretty good chat. You're also a recent award winner.
Yes, I am. It actually happened in Halifax with the Canadian Brewing Awards, their inaugural Ambassador of the Year award. The only person who was not a brewery or a beer, not that people are beers, to actually bring home an award.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
congrats on that.
We got to start the show with what are you drinking? PEI.
Yeah.
What's the beer of choice that you brought with us? With you?
Yes. So you can count the number of breweries on PEI on both hands, which is great. So I'm actually today drinking one of, I'm fairly certain it is the smallest brewery here on Prince Edward Island. It's Village Green in Cornwall, PEI. I think technically it's what can be classified as a nano brewery. It's actually set up in the old post office in town. So think a very small kind of squat square building, but all of the brewing equipment in there was actually hand designed by the founder, owner, head brewer, literally everything for the brewery, Brian Carver. And everything he designed was like on the back of a napkin. He like drew it to the specifics of the room it's all in. And that man works magic out of that little back room, I got to tell you.
Cool.
But specifically today, I'm drinking their Sabro single hop pale ale, which is a classic that he brings around every now and again. It's quite tasty.
Okay. Keeps it simple too, eh? Nothing's much special to the can.
No, it's what's on the inside. It's what's on the inside that really matters with these ones.
No, you know what? There's something to be said about that. Like some of the best beers in the world, they don't even have labels. They let the beer speak for itself. It's true.
They're just made in a tub.
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Okay.
That's moonshine.
What are you drinking?
That's a whole different PEI thing.
Okay, so the previous guest, the one I missed because I had pneumonia, Henry Hussey.
Yeah.
Okay, so he sent some beers down from us from Banish Brewing in Newfoundland. Oh, it's invisible beer.
The can's banished.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing stout though. This is my first taste of it. It's a 9%, which is crazy for a stout, dude. But man, it tastes amazing, and you would not know that this was a high alcohol beer. And as you can see, also I have my new bar I just installed behind me, so I'm gonna be really busy after this show. Yeah, looks good back. Matt, what do you have, buddy?
I am not drinking a beer. So what I am drinking, my wife is a teacher and she's getting close to the end of the school year, and she said to me today, I feel like having a drink at supper time. So there's a liquor store not far from me. So this is the crushable, very, very crushable thing right now.
Ooh.
From Blue Lobster. We'll give them a good shout out because they're awesome. They do sodas and lemonades and all that stuff. And this is a raspberry lemonade. It is taking everything in me to not down this entire can in about 6 seconds. Because I feel like I'm 10 years old again. And it's a 6% beer or 6% lemonade or whatever, vodka beverage, and you would never know it. It honestly just tastes like Kool-Aid.
Shout out to Blue Lobster. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, it's actually it's tart too. Like it has
Yeah.
a little of that like lemon and raspberry. It's yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a must try this summer. You could probably get 6 of them down before you even realize what hit you.
Fun. Are they doing this up your way, man, Dana? Are they doing the seltzers, some of the microbreweries, or are they getting involved with those? No, Blue Lobster is just seltzer, sorry, but a lot of the other microbreweries have kind of jumped on the seltzer thing.
Yeah, certainly. There's definitely some of the breweries here on the island that have kind of looked to diversify their portfolio, right? Get into seltzers. They're super popular, especially if you want to bring in that clientele to a brewery who like don't drink beer, right? It's super smart. So just here on the island, we've got like the PEI Brewing Company, who like also involved with Gahan. They have the Colliding Tides brand. That's from here. Bogside Brewing in Montague have their Snap series of vodka seltzers. And Copper Bottom, also from here in Montague, has their series as well called Bantam. And I think, and Upstreet has recently dabbled with a local business owner to create some sparkling vodka beverages. The first one was kind of a spin on the raspberry cordial from Anne of Green Gables, so it was kind of like a vodka version of that. And they just came out with a lime breeze kind of lime version of it too. It's a brand called Salty Poet. It's pretty nice.
I like the name, Salty Poet.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's you, Tobin.
I'm a salty. I don't know. Poet.
I was gonna say you fit the bill. I mean, like when I did a little Instagram reel for them, I made sure the beard was huge, put a hat on, nice sweater, down by the water, and just was spitting bars.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
see, Tobin was really into hip hop at one point, and hip hop is just poetry.
There you go. Yeah.
That's it.
So there you go.
Salty Poet. I love that name.
The so PEI, you mentioned Upstreet. I love Upstreet. Those guys are great. Their white noise, their white IPA is like a go-to when I
Your
can get it.
favorite. You said that before. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really good. So they're a staple. But I mean, I've been liking craft beer for a long time. I don't know what the oldest one is in PEI. You might know, but I do know that Gahan's been around for a long time. I mean, they've blown up. They're everywhere now.
No, how long has
But
Gahan been around? I didn't know. Like, I mean, I remember when they popped up and got popular, but
It the early 2000s,
okay.
from what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, so PEI Brewco for sure is the brewing company here on the island that has been around the longest. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know when they started roundabout?
Early 2000s, I think. I
That's
feel like I
okay.
just looked this up a couple of weeks ago, and I should know this. I'm not being a very good
No,
ambassador
no.
for PEI craft beer.
That's fine. Don't stress, man. No, just
yeah, dates are hard to remember, especially
Yeah.
when you drink lots of beer.
exactly.
That's
It
it.
don't matter when you drink enough beer.
I'll tell you, Gahan House though. I don't know what if if they're one of your favorites, but I can tell you at one point in time, back when they were, and it's been it's been a couple of years since I've been to EI, but I do know that are they still in that old building that they were in, like just down from the church?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So it's one of those little side streets that the
Yep.
Gahan House pub is right there. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So they, I used to love that, and like just almost like adjacent up the street is the what is it? The Irish pub there. What's the name of it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I used to go there all the time. It was an Irish pub and oyster bar, and it's just escaped me. But I used to go there all the time when I used to do trips over to PEI.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's killing me. I can't believe I can't remember the name of that.
Either way, but I mean, going to Gahan, I used to make special trips just to go there because at one point in time, Gahan's red, like their red was probably my favorite red to drink.
Mhm.
Red's a style I'm really weird and picky with. Even though it's not my favorite style, like it's a style that like, I can hate it real quick and I can instantly love it when it's really, really bang on. And PEI, Gahan was, I used to come back with growlers from it all the time, just the red alone.
Yeah. Well, they certainly have a beautiful spot in Halifax here. I'll tell you that, Gahan House.
I was
They're everywhere.
I was gonna say because like yeah, the Gahan beer here is great, but I hear that there's a lot of great stuff coming out of the Nova Center one. That's
Mm.
where a lot of like the photo aged stuff that they're doing is coming from, like the table beers that they were experimenting with a little bit there. So yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff is coming out from Halifax.
Yeah, yeah. And they're all owned by the Murphy's Group, which are I mean, they're a huge organization in PEI and parts of Nova Scotia as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the do you happen to know, like, if someone had, if they were coming to PEI and they were like, you have to, I mean, I know you have, you said two handfuls, but what's like a can't miss beer, like, or brewery? What's your go-to?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And it's a tough one too, because it's like each of them is just so incredible and special in their own ways, and is like
Yeah.
I don't know. They all have things worth visiting for. And I mean, I guess if I'm talking to somebody who's like looking for recommendations, I think it really kind of depends on like where are they going. Like if you're going just to Charlottetown,
Right.
then I would probably recommend something from there. Or like if you're doing some more exploring, like if you're going down east to Montague, if you're going up west to like Tignish or O'Leary, like there are different ones that I would recommend, right? But the one who's like it's so hard to pick just one. Um, Man, I gotta say, special shout out to Lone Oak and a lot of the work that Spencer Gallant is doing as head brewer there. I mean, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Not that it's much of a secret. I've talked about this on my account before, but I'm not actually from Prince Edward Island. I'm.
And they let you stay there.
I
Oh,
know
really?
it's wild because my wife's from here, so I had to marry in. It's all good. I got grandfathered in.
Shut down the call,
Um,
guys. This has been nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm technically a come from away, or like I like to call a islander by choice.
Right.
But yeah, so I noticed that as being someone from Ontario, like the beer styles here on PEI were just like not quite the same as what you would expect to get in like on the Ontario craft beer market, right? But I have to say that Lone Oak's been doing a lot of really cool stuff that is like I think maybe not necessarily catching up to trends, but is like going in different directions and experimenting with really cool things. Whether it's like bringing in experimental yeasts from Escarpment Labs and testing those out in like super super piney West Coast IPAs, or like barrel aged beers, stouts with coffee. Like they're doing all kinds of really cool experimental and fun stuff.
Cool.
That does sound, yeah, that sounds right up my alley. That's definitely something that I would like to go. I like small batches and weird things, and yeah, just we have a lot of breweries, obviously in Nova Scotia, but there's some. There was definitely I miss. We used to have a Gahan moved in there, but it used to be called before Gahan moved, and then they moved up to where they are, the Nova Center. But it was Heart and Thistle, and shout out to Greg Nash, who works at or like owns and works as a brewmaster at Unfiltered Brewing, because he was a brewmaster there, and he used to come up with some weird stuff like bourbon-infused vanilla mint stouts, and you'd had the choice to go with you could get either CO2 or you could get nitrogen, whatever, and you could choose between the two.
Cool.
And yeah, well crafted beers, and you could to have that kind of choice to tell the difference between CO2 and nitrogen was it honestly it helped with the beer experience to know what a beer tasted like with using a different form of gas. So it was I love that stuff. So that's definitely one. If I make it over to PEI, I'll definitely have to hit that up for sure.
Two Crows here, I think, are pretty cool with the experimental beers.
They do some experimental stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lone Oak has done some stuff with Two Crows. Like they've collabed on a couple things
Ah.
together. Most notably, I believe, was the Beer Demi French Pilsner that I think they also did with Tatamagouche, which was really nice. But yeah, Lone Oak, they got 4 different locations on the island. So whether you're coming
Okay.
over from the bridge or if you're coming over from the ferry, there you can easily get to a Lone Oak location.
Matt, can you get
So-
their beer in Nova Scotia? Do you know?
I don't think so, but
Okay. Yeah.
They-
it's
they're
worth a shot
actually-
'cause
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was supposed to say they just announced that there's some beers available at Bishop Cellar.
I was good. I was just about to say, if anything, it's going to be a Bishop Cellar because
Yeah.
they're guys. They carry some of the stuff. They carry Banish. They carry some places from around the like Atlantic Canada. So that's exactly what I was gonna say, is if they're anywhere, it's gonna be Bishops. They're Bishops is they bring some interesting things in. So we'll have to make a journey down there, that's for sure. And check out some of the other beers that we can't normally get in the NSLC or some of the other private ones. But so if you're not from PEI, where are you from?
I'm originally from a small town in Ontario called Blind River. It's halfway between Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury. We call it Northern Ontario, but really it's the middle. Because basically anything north of Barrie is Northern Ontario. But we're really most famous for being in the opening lyrics of Neil Young's "Long May You Run."
Yeah.
Our town is mentioned in those first couple of lyrics. He at the time back then in the 60s, he was touring across Canada in this old hearse, and the hearse had broken down of all places in Blind River, Ontario, and so got a shout out in his famous song there.
So what brought you out east?
Like anything else that brings us anywhere or compels us to move, a fantastic local craft beer scene. No, I'm just kidding. It was love. It was love. My wife's from here.
That's awesome. So did you meet her in Ontario?
No, we actually met in New Brunswick of all places.
Oh, you met in the middle kind of thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, she was living in New Brunswick at the time, and we met there. And then I was on this East Coast road trip that just kind of corresponded, or ended up with us spending more time together in PEI, and we did long distance for a little bit. She moved to Ontario for a while, and then I moved out here to put down roots.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So how long have you been together now, if you don't mind me asking?
About 5 years. We started dating just a couple months before the pandemic started.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you had the true test of love, getting through the pandemic together. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Holy smokes, yeah.
Any kids, or are you planning on any, or what's up with that?
Yeah, this is coming out in August, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually got one on the way.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, due in October, our first child.
So
Awesome.
she's off the craft beer right now then, I guess.
Yeah, so we've been spending a lot of time drinking non-alcoholic beers, which has been a really fun journey, and it's been kind of something I've been trying to promote a little bit more myself on my account.
We have to too. Yeah.
Yeah, and like especially during the week, like I try to stick to non-alcoholic beers, but it's not every day. You get to chat with the Afternoon Pint podcast, so I'm dipping into one of the higher ABV beers in the fridge. But yeah, like a couple months ago, I had someone who followed me on Instagram shot me a message and was like, "You do a lot of really great stuff, but like as someone who has been sober themselves for like a number of years, was just curious about perspective or like showing off more non-alcoholic beers." And I thought that's a fantastic idea. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone could use a little bit more balance in their life, right? For all
Calorie
kinds
bit,
of
too. I mean, even if you're not a calories, because the beer thing, when I got sick there a month ago, I was sick with pneumonia for, I don't know, Matt, like half a month or almost a month. So anyways, I lost a bunch of weight, and I think most of it was beer, dude.
Yeah.
When I was getting healthier, I was afraid I didn't have any beer for the first like 2 weeks. I was kind of getting back to work and stuff. I just wanted to get focused, and the weight stayed down. It stayed completely off me. And as soon as I started saying, "Okay, I'm back, full mic, let's have the pints I have for this show," the weight just started coming right back, and so quickly. So there is something to say about pints and weight.
Yeah, totally. Lots of calories in beer. So whether it's just for like that aspect of your health or just to kind of lower the amount of alcohol that you consume at any time, right? It was just, something that I never really had thought about and figured why not? There now non-alcoholic beers have come to a place where they could be on par, if not sometimes better than actual craft beers, right? Just here on the island, we've got the Libra brand.
Yeah, I love that. I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they're expanding like nationwide now. They just announced that they're available in like Costco's, in Ontario and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. So like that's a huge brand. So it's like it's just really awesome to see that there are, if not like low or like no to low alcohol beverages that are just as good as regular, not regular.
For a long time, it was garbage. For a long time.
Sorry, what?
Oh, just for a long time, it was absolutely garbage. Like non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
They were just I don't know, maybe just because it wasn't being taken seriously. There was no effort being put into it. It was like, this kind of tastes like beer, and here you go.
It wasn't a
Uh,
craft market thing then either. It was just more of a generic thing, like, your Bud Zero.
Yeah, like if you wanted a non-alcoholic beer like 5 years or more ago, realistically, you had to go and get like pick up a German beer, because German beers have been making craft non-alcoholic beers for a long time because they have to. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
make a beer that's not properly like crafted in Germany. Basically, they have a law to do it, right? So you really had to go to Germany in order to get a good non-alcoholic beer. Now everyone's kind of catching on because yeah, as much as it's great to sit back and have a drink and stuff like that, there's also times, especially I know I have a young one, and not easy for me to just get a drive home because it's not like you're gonna wake up a 2 or 3 year old to go pick up dad who's had 6, 7 beer and can't drive home
Same here.
and all that stuff. But I could go and grab a 6 pack of non-alcoholic beer and sip away and enjoy it and drive home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's good. And also I agree with you. Like my wife and I, like we have a near 3 year old. It'll be 3 in August. So he when my wife was pregnant, that's when we started to discover non-alcoholic drinks more. And that's honestly because I never looked at it before. It's actually when I discovered how well the scene has come along and how much better it is because not just beer. Like there's other drinks too. Like there's non-alcoholic drinks. There's a particular non-alcoholic drink that's from Quebec. That's a rum and coke. And if I gave that to you, you think I served you a stiff rum and coke, and there's no alcohol in it at all.
Bring one of those
Wow.
more, would you?
Sure.
Just have that illusion. That'd be great. Yeah.
So
And oh, I was just about to say too, like, and it's not just craft stuff. Like even now, macro brands are like getting good. Not like, have you guys had the Corona Sunbrew?
Yeah, man. I
Like
totally love it. I love
it's if you just gave me like if you somehow took the labels off of those glass bottles and you
it.
put a lime in each of those and you handed it to me, I don't think I could tell you which one was the real Corona and which one's the Sunbrew. On a hot summer
100%.
day,
Yeah.
hits just the same.
you're not selling it for me. I don't like
No,
regular
no,
Corona.
he's not gonna like it, but he also doesn't like hot tubs or fun or the sun. Yeah.
For those who know, they know.
Yeah, but no, I like it. You know what? Really, my dad got into it. He was so excited when they had the 2 4s at Costco, and he started feeding them to me when they'd go over to the house because I'd have a beer and like a driving home thing, right? But also, I mean, Matt, I don't know if we touched on this in another episode. Sorry if we did, but like the other thing about the non-alcohol beers now is like generationally, um, dare to say that I think the younger generation are choosing pot over beer, right? So they don't want to have alcohol as much as, pardon, I say our generation might have desired, right? So I think that's changing a little bit, right? Um, I said before on the show, I've been out to bars on the weekend and having a drink with a friend, and I look over and the kids are on a date and they're having coffee, and it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, right? And you're like, well, that's different. And I think
You're
that's
not going to sleep, but that is different.
well, hey, anyways, I'll get
I mean, if the day goes well, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So Dana, what's your craft beer story? Everyone kind of has one because for the most part, people weren't raised on it because it wasn't really popular as much 20, 30 years ago. So what made you discover it, and how'd you fall in love with it?
yeah. So my drinking journey, like in high school, I was not one of those party kids. Like I didn't go out or drink much at all. If I ever did, it was like Coors Light. Like that's what started with. And then went to university, lots of Coors Light, Canadian, moved up to Moosehead, slowly worked your way up the rung of domestic beers. And it wasn't really until like a local pub just kind of had like a craft beer on tap. And I was like, oh, this kind of sounds interesting. So I tried it. And, I would every now and again maybe have one. And then once I finished university and like I started getting into it a little bit more, and like anyone in Ontario, the LCBO would be like the place to go for craft beer, weirdly enough, because we have a beer store but the place for craft beer would be the LCBO, the liquor store.
Right.
So I would walk in and just kind of starting, it would just be like, what's got the coolest label? I'm gonna grab this one. This one looks kind of fun. What's this? Now, a lot of trial and error with that approach. You find a lot of good things. You find, a couple bad things too. But again, it wasn't until the pandemic hit. I was living in Ottawa at the time, and a lot of breweries started offering free local delivery.
Yeah.
And I think that this was something I was listening to the episode that y'all did with James Mullinger, and you were chatting a little bit about how places were like delivering beer to you during that time. And it was the same thing for me, where it was an opportunity to like, I can't leave the house, I can't go anywhere, but I can get craft beer brought to me. Well, why not try as much as I can? I'm not doing a whole lot else right now. So that's really kind of where it started. And then in terms of like talking about it on Instagram, I would like see that I would start following breweries myself, and I would see that they would like reshare content done by other people. And then I found this whole other kind of community of people who talk about craft beer on Instagram. And I lurked in the shadows for a while. I just kind of watched what other people did, learned a little bit, liked, shared things. But after a while, I started kind of like doing it myself, and then ended up moving from Ontario here to PEI. And I just found it was like a really great opportunity to get to learn more about my new home and get connected with people in the community and support local businesses and get out and go from tip to tip.
So you take it very seriously. What's your day job?
My day job, I work in health tech. So I do like customer support, sales kind of stuff. So you can probably tell by the headset here that I have a work from home setup.
Yeah.
I'm on the phones pretty often, but so during the day I'm able to work from home and work for that job, and then on the evenings, on the weekends, like to make content and talk about it on Instagram.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's not really much different than us. We have day jobs, and and then we just talk to other people and have drinks.
Well, gosh, how else are people our age supposed to be able to make friends? I
Exactly.
mean, what else are we supposed to do? No one's scheduled play dates anymore. I mean, you got to go to the local brewery.
You just wait. You just wait.
Our
I know
playdates
it's
are
coming.
yeah,
You're about to get scheduled for play dates.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to be a real drop off in Pints of PEI content over the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it'll still be nice. Just keep it up, man, because it's fun to you got to see something going for yourself as you're raising a child. 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like the award thing. So like, what did that like kind of look like? What did that feel like? Kind of thing. How do you even get considered out of all the people? How is Dana the one who's like, hey, that's the guy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still not 100% sure myself. Just kind of early on in this journey as Pints of PEI, I received a message from the Canadian Brewing Awards, and they had asked if I wanted to be involved as an ambassador for them. And
cool.
working as an ambassador was just kind of involved, like helping make content, promote awareness. For the Canadian Brewing Awards, there were a couple of us who were chosen. Shout out to fellow Canadian Brewing Awards ambassador from Nova Scotia, Ryan Gully, Craft Beer Gully himself, was an ambassador as well. Yeah. It was our job to like reach out to breweries, help kind of get the word out and see if folks would be interested in going to the conference. So I got started with them in 2024. No, it is 2024, 2023, when it was in Halifax. So I came down for the awards. It was at the convention center, which is right around the Gahan Nova Center. So it was a bit of a surprise because like they had never done anything like that before. But I guess they just liked what I was doing for them, and so made a little award for me, which was very kind. It was a very nice surprise.
That is very cool.
Did they pay you, or was this volunteer work?
There was a payment involvement to it. So it was all based on us like trying to drum up word for breweries, right? So we would have like a link that would allow people to buy tickets, and if they bought tickets through our link, it would help for us. But yeah, they took care of us. It wasn't all just free time. Yeah,
That's the main thing. Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
They could have paid me in beer, and I would have done it for them.
Well, that was a huge aspect of it too. Like, there's a lot of beer that gets submitted to the Canadian Brewing Awards, and if a couple cans or bottles go missing, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did.
You know
That's
what? Like, if they want, like, Mike and I will be judges anytime they want.
They're always
Like,
looking for judges if you guys want to.
I'm really not
oh,
a beer guy though. I just enjoy drinking it. I'm like a thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of exposition. It's like I enjoy this or I don't. That's it.
Do
Pretty
that's
you
simple.
fine.
do you guys use Untapped?
I don't. You know what?
No, I tried it
I
for one
don't.
day.
I probably should, and I
You
should
should.
have for a long time. I actually at one point had a paper journal that I was actually writing everything down.
There's this
And
little Hello Kitty notebook he carried around all the time. No, sorry. Keep going. It
That's great.
was a
Listen, man.
9% beer.
That's awesome.
It's starting to kick in. Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
no, no, it was just a plain black leather notebook. But I was keeping track of a lot of it for a while, and like I see what I've people who've listened to the podcast probably know. I've actually been drinking craft beer since 2005, roughly, kind of thing. And so I wish I would have kept track of everything, because I'd probably be in the thousands and it would be really, really thick. But at one point, I had this idea that I wanted to keep track and maybe even almost like write a book about it or something. Um, but then what happened was, like, I forgot my notebook and I hit up a couple breweries on a trip. And then I was just kind of like, I got it in my head that I'm like, I missed all this. Like, it's all spoiled now. And I just kind of gave up on it. So, you know, maybe someday I'll kick back into it. But at this point, it's like, I don't know. I've had so many beers that it's just like, I guess it's just in here and that's where it'll stay.
Let's switch up the conversation a bit. So, PEI, people that are from away that are going to hear this podcast, we're
Yeah.
across Canada. What's some of the funnest stuff to do in PEI, in your
Well,
opinion?
yeah, well, I mean, when you live on an island, you're not too far away from a beach. And honestly, just like again, as someone from Ontario, I'm still adjusting to salt water. I'm a freshwater guy. Northern Ontario, lots of beautiful lakes, swimming in there, Lake Huron. So still getting used to salt water. But I mean, I feel like when I was younger, like 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been as excited to just sit on a beach and not do anything for a couple hours. But
Hmm.
now it's like, sign me up, man. I'll bring a book. I'll just sit. I'll chill. It's great.
The
Well, that's
waters are
Um,
pretty
it's
warm
close.
though in
That's a,
PEI though. Like, you guys have fairly
yeah,
good, like fairly warm waters compared to what we're used to in Nova Scotia, at least on the Atlantic side.
next side. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, again, maybe I'm just an Ontario coward, but I put my toes in the Atlantic Ocean and I shrivel up. It's I'm still working on it, but
Well, like, you guys, that Northumberland Strait's all right.
yeah,
It's all right.
I just gotta swim on the other side. That's it, on the other side of the island.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So Mike and I both went over to PEI for a bachelor party one time. We went to Spike's Paintballs. That's still around?
Maybe. I'm not much of a paintballer myself, but it sounds kind of familiar. I think it is.
I,
We're not either, but we just went over there and we went for a bachelor party, and we had a blast in Charlottetown. It's just outside of Charlottetown. One of the best, honestly, one of the best paintball round ranges, or whatever you want to call them, that I've ever been to.
it's pretty wild. What was the name of that bar we went to down there, Matt? With was like a lot of decks, like wooden.
Peaks Key.
Pete's Key, is that still there?
Peaks Key.
Yeah, Peaks Key is a pretty cool spot.
Oh, it's fun, man.
I've never been up into, so because there's the bar or restaurant called Peaks Key. I think that's where a lot of the younger folks like to hang out on the weekends.
Mhm.
But there's for folks who have never been there. So Peaks Key is like downtown Charlottetown, right by the water, and it's a restaurant and bar and slash nightclub itself that's on the second level of a building that has like a deck up there. But then when you come down and you're on like the ground level, there's a lot of other kind of little shops that you can go into. There's a Cow's ice cream there, but there's
Yeah.
also a floating dock that you can walk onto that has more food options available. There's like the Nimrod's Pizza Hut with an actual like wood-fired pizza oven on there. I don't know how you can fit something like that on a dock and still have it float and not sink. I don't know what's going on there. There's like lobster rolls. There's actually a tiki bar there who
Oh,
just this summer, it's called JC's Tiki Bar. This summer, they actually put a lot of sand on like their section of the floating dock. So you almost kind of feel like you're on the beach, and they got these swings that are kind of cool to sit on.
oh, and you know what? I just remembered. Old Dublin Pub. That's the pub.
That's it. Old Dublin Pub.
That's the Irish
That's
pub
it.
there. Fantastic time I've ever been there. It's always been a blast.
Did I have oysters there with you, or was that somebody else?
No, we had oysters there.
We had
Yeah.
oysters there. That was the first time I ever tried oysters, was at PEI.
Oh, there you go.
It
Great
wasn't the
place to
last
try
time.
'em.
I became a big fan. Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, but yeah, it was the first time I was ever brave enough to try them because they're scary the first time.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. It was my first place trying oysters too here on the island. It was when I met the rest of my wife's family. It was kind of like a introduction to the island. You got to eat these oysters. One of
Oh,
us.
really? They just wanted to watch you squirm for a minute.
They're pretty good though. They're pretty
Yeah.
good.
I love oysters. They're one of my favorite things to eat with honestly though, oyster with if you're talking beer, have it with a stout. If you're not talking beer, an oyster and a bloody Caesar. Love that combination.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then obviously Anna Green Gables and all that stuff is like the big touristy stuff. What you'll have to do actually is go over to Surrey and take the ferry up to the Magdalen Islands. I did that in 2013 and that was amazing.
It's on our list. My old roommate from Ottawa, he's married now to a girl who's from Quebec, and she's like up from near Chicoutimi, but they somehow knew someone who lived on the Magdalen Islands, and they like went over there and stayed at the house over there, and it's just like all the pictures, it just looks so incredible. It just
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like such a really cool spot to visit. But I hear there's one craft brewery on the Magdalen
Yes.
Islands, but it's so busy you can never get in it.
It's so good. They have a couple beers that are absolute bangers. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's there's one of the best brown beers I've ever had is from this place.
See if we can find what it's called on Google. Do you know what it's called?
Oh yeah, it's something Le Temps, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I know exactly where it is. It's on the west side of the island, and yeah, it's pretty good. I'm actually gonna be heading to Quebec here pretty soon. I could probably grab some because I'm pretty sure you can pick them up in Quebec City.
Oh,
So I'll grab you a beer or two there, Tobin, and you can try it.
Sounds good to
Yeah.
me. Thanks, man.
Wow.
No
That's what
worries.
friends are for.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So honestly, like we could probably start to even like wrap this up a little bit, but you're now officially the afternoon pint ambassador from PEI.
You are. You have been anointed, my friend. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
So is there anything like, if people are going to tune into this last 3 minutes of us chatting, like, what are you going to sell PEI on? Like, what are the must haves, the must eats, the must drinks, like anything like that? Just give it to us.
Totally. Well, I mean, obviously, the local craft beer scene here is quite great. I will say that there's something about Islanders that is deeply ingrained in them. This thing about protecting and supporting local, and it's like you can feel it in just about everywhere you go, whether it is the food or the drinks, like the pride of being able to, with PEI potatoes, PEI seafood, PEI beef, PEI grown hops, malts, right? So it's just like, yeah, there's this huge thing about promoting, protecting, and supporting local businesses that you just feel it everywhere you go, and it's a really cool feeling. So whether you're going all the way up west or down east, or you're just right downtown in Charlottetown, you're going to find something pretty incredible, whether it's a bar or a restaurant or a brewery, or even just a park, or like a live
Yeah.
band or a coffee shop. Like, there's so many incredible things to do and see here. And it's not just all in Charlottetown too, right? Like I said, there's beaches all over the place. There are small towns everywhere that full of charm, and yeah, it's really quite the spot.
Awesome.
Any must eat places that you can think of?
So one of my main recommendations to everybody, and for folks in Nova Scotia might be familiar with it as well, but Hop Yard is the craft beer bar here in PEI, and they had a Halifax location for a little while that shut down a couple of years ago, I think.
Yes.
But Hop Yard will always be one of my top places to recommend, not just because there's lots of great craft beer there from the island or from abroad, from Nova Scotia. You know, it's not uncommon to see Tatamagouche or Two Crows or Pump House, you know, from New Brunswick on tap there. But fantastic food, and the food menu like changes every month. So you can go in every 4 weeks and have something new every time.
I like that. Yeah.
Last question. I know we're wrapping up in this. Hopefully, this doesn't unpack a big thing. How is the cost of living in PEI these days?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, like compared to Ontario, I mean, the housing market definitely isn't as like high or as crazy as other places. Like we just bought a house ourselves here in the Montague area a couple months ago, and like comparing what we got for like what the prices might be in Ontario for something similar, like definitely not the same. But I mean, the taxes are a little bit higher out here in PEI, right? And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think everywhere, everyone's kind of feeling
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's at the grocery store or at the pump. Not that I'm going to unpack too many things, but yeah, I think lots of folks across Canada are feeling the pinch on their dollars. Yeah, but I think for the most part, at least from my perspective, you know, it hasn't been too bad living here in PEI.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, cool, man. Well, I'm really happy to hear about you having a new baby soon. So, congratulations on that. We're hoping the
A
best.
little pint.
A little point.
A little pint of PEI.
Yeah,
Half
there
pint.
you go, man. Congratulations. Thank you so much for agreeing to chat with us. We really do appreciate it. And one last cheers to you, Dana.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers to you guys. Thanks for having me on here today. And listen, next time we share a drink, hope maybe it's here on this side of the bridge. We'll go to the old Dublin. We'll get some oysters. Go do some paintball. Have ourselves a time.
You'll be one of the first people that know. 100%. We'll let you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, I hope so. Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you.
We
Thanks a lot.
really love our beer. Barley, hops, and yeast makes our days full of cheer. From far